Welcome to my Self-Care Shit, the podcast, where we talk about what true self-care looks and feels like. I'm your host, Kathy Love, two-time TEDx speaker, author, and self-care coach. Each week, we'll have honest conversations on how to create the peace and stability we crave in our lives. My guest today is Keri-Lynne Shaw. You may know her as KL. She is the founder and CEO of the Salary Bump, and she's also a top advisor in the Outlier Project, which is where I got to know her. I am so excited to have you here today, KL, because you being here is a personal sign of my healing. Our friendship that's developed over, I don't know, the last 6 months or so since we were together at the Outlier Project retreat, a little bit before that, but really we really connected there. That was such a big turning point for me to step into and be the best version of myself. But it's because of women like you who were there and who held me up and supported me and encouraged me. And over time, I'll have the others, but there was a small group of women that I really held on a pedestal. I really looked up to, and you are one of them. And there are lots of reasons for that. The way you carry yourself, the way you articulate yourself. There's so much about you that exudes confidence, the confidence that I only dreamt of having, the confidence that was in there, but I wasn't ready to show it yet. And you truly helped me to let that out and be here. And so I am just so honored to have you here as a guest on this podcast personally, and also for what you are going to share with the listeners today. So thank you.
You are so welcome. I mean, gosh, that's the most beautiful intro I've ever had. And I'm so, it's so incredibly exciting to hear how by just showing up, you can touch so many people. And whether that means showing up at a retreat, showing up on LinkedIn, showing up on social media, and bringing people along the journey and just being your authentic self. I had no idea that me just being me was going to impact someone so much. And I mean, what a gift by just being me. And
In
thank
a
you for that.
huge way. I remember when we were walking on the beach and you grabbed my hand, and it was such a sister. It was that feeling of sisterhood. Like you just were like literally grabbing my hand and pulling me along with you. And that moment was really, really impactful for me. So showing up and also reaching out like you did.
So interesting. I've always been a super heart-centered person and super heart-centered leader. But I worked in automotive for 20 years and I felt this, I don't know if it was a need or like for me to survive or to thrive or to grow in that industry. I thought that it wasn't okay to be so heart-centered. So maybe other people wouldn't have noticed that I did this, but I probably wore a mask more than being my true authentic self, because I thought I had to be more head centered. I had to bring the facts. I had to help people understand why I thought we should go in that direction, when the reality is I just know we should go in that direction. I can't tell you why. I actually don't know, but it's my intuition. And I know that this is what we should be doing. And then because I wasn't always able to explain it, I then felt like I wasn't enough sometimes. And so I would sort of squash the heart side of me. And I've really leaned into that over the last few years since starting my own company and being outside of corporate. The pandemic helped that a lot. I was a chief people officer for an organization at the time. And I was like, my topic was the most important topic. Finally, the people topic, everybody, was looking at me. And I was able to break that open even more. And so I think you got this piece and this side of me that I'm leaning into so much more, and just doing it, grabbing your hand, touching the person on the shoulder, giving them that fuel. I'm just, it's the most centered I've ever been in my entire life.
Connected to yourself. Yeah. And you said you're leaning into your intuition, which is where true self-care comes from. It's that deep connection that we develop as we practice self-care that allows us to hear what our intuition is saying and then believe that it's okay to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that that's the path. Um, I remember when I first learned about what you do, salary negotiation was what you were talking about the first time that we talked. And I just remember thinking that everything you said was brilliant about why it's important and how to do it and all of the practicalities of it. But I remember thinking I could never do that because I was missing the confidence piece, the self-confidence piece to believe that I was worthy. And so to me, what you do is so connected to self-care in this way that we don't often think of it. And that's what I would love to hear more about of how you see that with the women that you're working with or with the people that you're working with and how you draw that out in them.
Yeah. So look, I would say like the work that you do is to empower women to step into their power, right? Like you
Yes.
are empowering women to look in the mirror and pause and take care of themselves and all the things that really matter and put themselves first. I do the same thing. It just so happens to be career related. So I help women step into their power, get into the driver's seat, is the words that I use when it comes to owning their career and knowing how to advocate for themselves and connecting the dots between a job and something that's actually really fulfilling, because I don't believe the two are separate. I believe the way that you live the most fulfilled life is by actually making a living doing things that really fuel you.
And that is
So
exactly why you're here.
I don't think you can ever be your true self and um, step into your power unless you've done the inner work. And this self care, that's inner work, right? So investing in you and what are the mechanisms that you have in your toolkit to pull, depending on different scenarios, right? So is it, how do I refuel? Is it meditation? Is it yoga? Is it mindset work? Is it calling my best friend? Like, what are all the tools that you have to reset and recenter and recharge so you can step in fully to your power? The work that I do, it's really dependent on the individual and where they come to me, because some women are coming to me or people are coming to me. I work with both men and women. It's 90% women, but
Mm-hmm.
my mission is to close the gender and racial pay gap. So more women seem to be attracted to me, but love working with men too. What I've noticed is, depending on where they are, most people, one of the products that I have is called the exit bump. I help people proactively ask for exits. Most people don't know that that's even a thing. So helping someone to step into their power, that to know that they are enough to go in and say, hey, I think I'm going to leave and I'd love for you to pay me. That is wild for people to think about. And I've helped people earn up to $2.3 million in their exits. So part of it is helping them craft their story. It is understanding the underbelly of who they are, how they've gotten to this stage. So whether it's an exit package, whether it's asking for more in a new negotiation, or whether it is a career transition, it's about alignment. And I need to understand how you make decisions, how you tap into the things that really matter. And we work on two critical things: abundance versus scarcity. and help them to understand what their relationship is to money, and how it is so more than appropriate for you to be advocating for the promotion, the title, and all the things that go into a compensation package, which most people don't even realize. Less than 40% of people negotiate. Let's start there. Less than 30% of women negotiate, and that number is even lower for people of color. So we have a gender and racial pay gap for a reason, but it's because people aren't doing it. And so the work we really focus on is your worth. Talk to me about your worth. And then I bring in the market data and I help them to relate that to what the market is paying. And they're generally shocked at how low they are. And we work on getting them to at least to the market, and an appropriate way for them to feel comfortable to authentically ask.
That relationship to money, that the question that you ask about that is directly related to their relationship with themselves and what they feel that they're worth. And I've heard people say, I'm making enough, or I should be happy with what I'm making, or things that are limiting before they even consider the possibility. Do you hear that as well?
Yeah, it's also how you've been raised, socioeconomic status. Were you raised with words or phrases like filthy rich, and that there's a dirty association to money, or I could never have that, lack, or money doesn't grow on trees, that you have to work harder, you have to earn your stripes before you can advocate and ask. And it's just fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's fear of being rejected. It's fear of, in the case of negotiating for a new job with the market the way it is today, it's people are really nervous. They're nervous that the job might get pulled. They've been off the market for a year. They've been hustling. They've been trying to find their next opportunity, and it just hasn't happened. And so they fear, if I ask for more, what if they pull the job and then I'm really in trouble? So I think it's also about alignment and trusting the universe and the process, and trusting that you're right where you're supposed to be. The work we do, yes, trusting is one of those things. We unpack that. We prep like nobody's business. We make sure you are so rock solid, bulletproof to walk into that interview, that your talent reel is so off the charts that you will leave a lasting impression, that everything that you talk about leads to what impact you had. Like all the things that as an HR leader, I saw people do badly, we are able to equip you so that you can walk into that interview so confident, so sure, because you've done your homework. Because that's a big part of it, right? We can't just
Right.
expect to walk in and cross our fingers because I trust the process. No, no,
Right.
we trust the process. And if they were to pull an offer, which I've never seen done, by the way, or if they were to decline you, they aren't your people. And really
Mm.
making sure that you understand that, the universe is also closing doors or blocking certain things because they might actually not be right for you.
This is why I love this conversation, because it's so connected to the things that we talk about in healing from codependency. You must have trust in yourself. And so often in that unhealed version, our trust of ourselves is so low. And especially if which puts us in situations where our trust is shaken even more. And so that trust in yourself to do the homework, to call the coach, to ask the questions, that is so that the work that you're doing there is going to translate into the rest of their lives. Because
Yeah,
once you can begin to trust yourself and the universe, it's like it's complete freedom.
it's magic. I will tell you, that was also a surprise when I launched this company. My clients all say, Kale, this has changed my life, not just my career. And
Absolutely.
it's so rewarding because the work that you do on yourself applies to everything. It applies to relationship. It applies to how you show up in the boardroom. It applies to how you show up in so many aspects. What triggers you, how you learn to respond versus react. I think you said something interesting though about investing in yourself. So you talked about getting the coach, doing the work. Investing in yourself is the best investment that you could ever
Mm-hmm.
have. I personally hired 4 coaches last year.
Mm-hmm.
I hit a really, really rough patch. I call it my rock bottom. I don't know. It was a culmination of things that came together that really rocked my world. And I cried for 8 weeks straight and I could not shake it. I could not pull myself out of it. And that has never happened to me. And so I hired a menopause coach to help me navigate this wild hormonal mystery that nobody has seemed to figured out how to help us.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they have, we're really in the early stages. That was game changing because I could barely keep my head up every day. I was just slogging and exhausted. I hired a regular coach that helped me hold the mirror up, call my baby ugly. I definitely looked in the mirror like I've never looked in the mirror before. I hired a business coach, incredible decision to help me kickstart my business in a way to really give me the traction, the foundation that I needed to, like, I had gotten it so far. And he was one of the smartest decisions. And then I hired our mutual friend, Laurel Weirs, to do some trauma work to release some traumas that I was holding on to for some longer, but for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Those 4 things together and me doing the work were absolutely game changing. And I'm always looking for ways to keep investing in myself. How can I keep now elevating? Because the certainty is there. The trust is so there, more than it's ever been. And I'm so hungry to keep fueling and keep adding more and more and more.
Because all of those things work together. So if you're working on trauma with Laurel, which I did as well, that seeps into other areas. If you're working, with physical issues, or whether it's blocks or mindset blocks, things like that, they all are connected and
Yeah.
they all elevate us. And I've been working with our mutual friend Sandy Goldgart, who was my first guest or my last guest on the podcast, and realized that my money block was that I was only comfortable making enough money, and I was not comfortable with having more than enough. And that mindset shift changed so many things for me in everything, even in personal relationships. The blocks or the the limits that I set in place were, I was able to get rid of them. I just love how it's all connected and
It
how
is.
a coach can help see those things for us.
Yeah. And obviously you don't need to hire 4 coaches, but yeah, I also just very much appreciate that there aren't, not everybody has that person in their life that they can share everything with, and have that objective view. Because if you share it with your best friend or your parents or your brother or your sister or your partner or your children, it's not completely objective because they have a stake in whatever it is that you're doing or what decision you might make. So to have someone truly objective that knows all the pieces,
Mhm.
it's really empowering to have that partner. Um, and then the other people in your life get to see the results and get to feel and experience the results of your work.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is fear also. Our families come to us with fear of us making big changes because they don't want us to fail or to experience any pain, and so they try to protect us in their way. But it actually holds us back more
Yeah.
often than not. It's just
Or
something that's different.
they are uncertain about who you might become. And so there's fear of that unknown, right? Like I'm I might not like my partner anymore, or I might evolve and they don't. Like there is definitely fear in that, and fear for them Not that they want to purposely hold you back, but I do think that there's elements of that. You talk about change. It's definitely something that a lot of my clients face as well, because some of them are moving into, like, I'm proactively asking for a package and I don't have another job,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm saying yes to something that is really scary. Some people are really want to play it safe and stay comfortable. I just got off the phone with a potential client who was like, yeah, I'd stay here forever. I'm comfortable. I know I'm not making, millions, but my 3% every year for the last 10 years has worked for me. And if the company weren't going through turmoil, I would stay here. And that's okay for him. That might be okay for him, but for many people, it's not. And those are the people that I'm excited to work with.
Mm-hmm. And you can help them tell the difference, right? Well, I just want to share my super codependent salary negotiation story with you because you'll appreciate this. This was years ago, but I was in the car with my daughter and I was listing off all the things that I was working on. And she said, "You really need a raise. You do so much. I watch you working. You're always working. You need a raise." And so I went to my boss at the time and I said, "My daughter thinks I should get a raise." And I heard myself and I was like, "Oh my God, that is the most codependent thing I have ever said." I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to say it myself.
Yeah.
So I used this third person to express what I needed to express, just in case it was not well received.
It's not your
I
fault.
could,
Yeah, it's your
yeah, I
daughter.
could just pass it off as a joke or, oh, it was funny or isn't that cute? But it's, yeah, in the healing from codependency, the conversations just get so much easier because there isn't the fear and there is the confidence that replaces it. And yeah, it's a whole different story. So, is there anything else that you would like to share um, about what you do, or any tips or anything that you would like to share before we go?
Oh gosh, there's so much. I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that you don't have to punch a clock. You don't have to spend your 9 to 5 or your work day doing something that is just a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
There is a beautiful way to align all of your special gifts, the things that you love, the things that you're really good at, and how you want to make an impact on the world, and marry that with the work that you do. Most people, or many people, I shouldn't say most people, believe that I can't have both. I can't have what I love and what I do. I just met this amazing woman who became a client, and she was like, for 20 years, I've been an accountant. I hate accounting. My parents were accountants. I was told I should be an accountant. I went to accounting school and I want out. And I want you to help me get out. And I have no idea what I'm going to do next, but it sure ain't going to be accounting. So she had this awakening. And I think there's a lot of women, and I don't know if it is women in this stage of life. I know every one of my girlfriends is experiencing this and going through this, but there's this unlock at a certain stage where maybe you just don't give a crap anymore about certain things, or it's just like, no, I only have so much time left, so I want to make sure that what I'm doing is really fulfilling. So I think to leave your audience with, you don't have to just get a paycheck. You can find a way to marry all those beautiful things that you care about and make an incredible living as a result, whether it starts as a side hustle and becomes something more, where you launch a podcast, you start developing your personal brand on LinkedIn and sharing your thought leadership. You have no idea how one conversation can change your life. And start networking, start meeting new people, start putting yourself out there. It will change your life. Start joining communities. My life changed. I didn't even know what communities were until I started my own business. I didn't have time outside of my day job, or I didn't make the time. Join communities where you get to be surrounded by people who lift you up, who want to see you succeed. You talked about our interaction. like one interaction, how that can change someone's life. Like it truly is a magical experience when you start putting yourself out there and asking for more and being your true vulnerable self. There's no going back. There's literally like I don't honestly, if I look in the mirror today from a year ago, I don't recognize myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm the same person, but
Yeah.
I've evolved in ways that I'm just so,
Mm-hmm.
so grateful. And it's every person that I've met. Every single person that has touched me in the last year, 2 years, that has awakened something else in me. And, you remind me to take a pause, like small little things. You remind me to breathe. You remind me to take that time in the morning and do the breath work and take the time to do yoga and take that time for me. Like these small things are really just small little triggers, but every person that I meet is giving me more and more and more and more. And it keeps building. So that's my takeaway. Yeah.
That's a beautiful way to finish that out. And I know I talk about the community of the Outlier Project so much because honestly, since that retreat that we were at, my life has completely changed for the better. And I was just at my parents' house for the Mother's Day weekend, and my mother watched me on my computer working all day, and she said, "You smile are you working right now? Because you're just always smiling." And she told me that at the end of the day, my father said to her, "She's still working and she's still smiling." And so what you said is so true. I just enjoy everything that I do so much, and I hope that the woman who spent 20 years, not loving her job finds what she's absolutely passionate about and can experience that, because it's a beautiful, beautiful way to live.
Yeah, she will. And she is. We're just in the negotiations as we speak. So, TBD part 2, I'll let you know.
Good. So I'm going to post every place that people can find you, your LinkedIn, your website, but do you want to share any special way that people can get a hold of you or anything?
LinkedIn is my number one platform. I try to post almost every day. Instagram, of course. But yeah, follow me anywhere. And I take coffees with about 15 to 20 people a week.
Wow.
And random strangers show up, and it's so amazing. And I spend a lot of time, and I give away a lot. I try to share something that is meaningful in every conversation. And yeah, just do my part. So yeah, reach out and DM me, and don't be shy to jump on for a coffee.
No, not being shy is self-care. Believing that you're worth taking KL's time is self-care. So I highly recommend it. You're amazing. I am so thankful for you, for today and for our friendship. So thank you so much.
Same. Thank you.
Great job making time for yourself today. Be sure to subscribe to my Self-Care Shit, the podcast, wherever you listen in. Your 5-star review will help get this show to whoever needs to hear it. Go grab your free daily self-care checklist on my selfcareshit.com. Please take the last minute of this podcast for yourself to listen to the ocean waves and breathe.